it's a great pleasure and privilege to be up here, to have the opportunity to explain the significance of what we are about to do. We're going to unveil two sculptures, just about 100 yards from here. The story goes back to the early summer of 1917. So we're going to go back in our time machine and picture a young couple walking around Roos. The lady in question decides to dance in Densgarth Wood amongst the flowering cow parsley. Densgarth Wood is just to one side of this church. Now, there's nothing that newsworthy about this story even today, and certainly not in 1917. It's the middle of the Great War, the war to end all wars. There was hundreds of men every week being killed on the Western Front. The U-boats were trying to starve Britain into submission. It was called the Hungry Year. So I don't think anybody at the time would have been interested in a couple having a dance in a wood. And yet, whereas the Great War is now gone out of living memory and is very much in the distant past, this story has lived on for over a century. And the reason being, the lady who danced was Edith Tolkien, the wife of John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, who went on to be the author of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and other things as well. He was voted the most influential author of the 20th century. So he was here in this village in 1917. Now at this juncture, what most people ask, and it's logical, is, what was Tolkien doing in Roos? He was born in Bloemfontein, South Africa in 1892, and he grew up on the western fringes of Birmingham on the border of Worcestershire. He went to school in Birmingham and then he went to university at Oxford. He graduated from there in the summer of 1915 and immediately joined up with the Lancashire Fusiliers, initially with the 11th Lancashire Fusiliers, which strangely was a recruiting regiment founded in Hull in December 1914. So he started his training, and some of which was in Otley in Yorkshire between the summer of 1915 until he was sent out to France in June 1916. He was sent to the Western Front and saw warfare at first hand in the trenches. He then contracted trench fever, which is a flu-like disease, very debilitating, and it's caused by bacteria on the lice that used to infest the trenches, friend and foe. It was a plague to the people in the trenches. Fortunately for him, this gave him his Blighty ticket. He was sent back to England. He arrived in Southampton in November 1916 and was sent to the 1st General Southern Hospital, which was in Birmingham. There he received treatment and he was able to recuperate for a while in the West Midlands. However, he was sent north to Harrogate in March 1917, so he's back in God's County again. Fortunately, his wife Edith and her cousin Jenny Grove were able to follow him up this way as well. And so it was that on April the 19th, 1917, he arrived at Thurton Bridge Camp. This camp was a mile and a half down the road from here, south east of here on the way to Withensea. It was home to about 1,500 troops and 60 officers, and his wife was able to billet with him in the region nearby. Obviously, while he was here, he had opportunities to explore the landscape, and so it was that one day when they were free, he took a walk around Roos with his wife. She decided to go into Densgarth Wood and to dance. At that moment, a legend was formed. An idea was formed. It's a very romantic moment. For Tolkien, having seen the horror of mechanised warfare, was in our shire, our safe bit of the shire, Holderness. And there was his wife dancing for him. She was in the early stages of pregnancy, and he knew at that moment what he was fighting for. Yes, God and king and country, of course, but he was fighting for his wife and his yet unborn child, his future family. It's such a romantic moment. So this image stayed with him. And when he went to Brooklands Military Hospital on Cottingham Road in Hull, which is now the Denison House opposite University. He started to create the legend of Lúthien Tinúbio, an elven princess, and Beren, a mortal who fell in love with each other. The first draft of this story was dated August 1917. It is the earliest seminal story in Tolkien's Legendarium and became a central theme all the way through Lord of the Rings. So we have Beren and Lúthien, the mortal and the immortal. It's echoed all the way through the mythology that became Middle-earth and feeds right through to Arwen, the elven princess, and Aragorn, the mortal, the Northern Ranger in Lord of the Rings, for they were the direct bloodline from Beren and Lúthien several thousand years later. So the story, the tale of Beren and Lúthien was born. It appeared in the Lost Tales, it appeared in the Silmarillion, and ultimately it came as a first edition in 2017 when I had the privilege of meeting Alan Lee, the man who was responsible for the design work on the Lord of the Rings films. He came to Hull to do the book launch of the first edition. The story stayed with Tolkien all his life. When his wife died in 1971, underneath her name on the tombstone was etched Lúthien, his elven princess. He was interviewed not long after that, and the interview said, where in this real world, natural world, helped influence Middle-earth? He didn't say Birmingham, where he grew up. He didn't say Oxford, where he spent most of his teaching career. He said Roos. He said, in the First World War, I was an officer in charge of a Humber garrison near Roos, and my wife danced for me. She could dance. Her hair was raven black and she could sing. He was enthusing about it 55 years after the event. When he died in 1973, beneath his name on the tombstone was etched Beren. He was the mortal. Their love in the First World War, the love of Edith and Tolkien, which became the love of Beren and Lúthien, ultimately became legend. Thank you very much.